Hey everybody, there's two of my chocolate zebra plecos just hanging out, and there's my synodontus. So I just did a massive water change on this tank being my 125, and I did another video where I shot the whole water change start to finish uninterrupted. I'm not sure if that video was a success or not, but I just did a video like that on my 55-gallon T-bar tank. Seemed like it got a lot of views, a lot of positive comments. So I did it to this one partially just out of practicality. I needed to do the water change. I also wanted to get some video shot for today, so I was able to kill two birds with one stone. However, when I was done, I looked at the time on my recorder and it was a 40-minute video. So there's no possible way this video is getting uploaded tonight. It's already 8:30. It'll probably be 1 in the morning before it's even uploaded, let alone me, cleaning it up and, putting my cards on it and all that kind of stuff. So tomorrow night's video is going to be a big 40-minute start to finish water change on my 125 here. And tonight's video is going to be a brief look at my 125 now that I've gotten in here and removed a lot of the plants. I didn't do a huge water change, believe it or not. This being a 125, the sheer volume of time it takes to drain and fill is a killer. So I tried to kind of chat my way through the video, as I often do. But I think next time, rather than just do it completely legitimately uninterrupted like I did with this one, I will get it started, and then, if I'm doing something like wiping the glass down or whatever, I can video that. But while I'm just waiting for the tank to drain, I can just cut all that stuff out. And, when we get to the bottom, I can, say, here we are, now we're going to start filling it back up again, and then we can just sort of cut out a bunch of the filling up time, unless I'm actually doing something or have something to talk about or some point to make or whatever. So, not sure how tomorrow's video is going to go over. Like I say, it's 40 minutes of me trying to fill in a lot of time, because it's a lot of time waiting for a big tank like this to simply drain. And as a result, I kind of cut it short, and we only did about maybe a 25% water change as opposed to the roughly 50% that I would normally do. So while I've got the garden tank light turned off, we can have a little look-see around real quick. Not really an official around the world video. I really do need to get an around the world video shot here in the near future, though. Definitely need to get in and do some more work on this tank. It's clean enough. It's got very few inhabitants, but I just need to actually get in there and give this tank a haircut too. It's getting pretty overgrown. I need to probably just take some of that Java and just remove it altogether. There's just too much in this tank. Thin it out a little bit. My whatever this tank's called, my native tank here, this one needs a water change too. The water's starting to get tan and stained. I just did a pretty big water change not long ago because I had that sick fish in here that I'm pretty much convinced at this point just probably had a physical injury of some sort, banged into something, knocked its head into something, got a scratch or a cut, and then developed a secondary infection as a result of the tank just being, neglected and way overstocked. This tank is just ridiculously overstocked. It's got so many fish in it, and they're now starting to get fairly substantial. You can see, some of these creek chubs are getting big. Even some of these golden shiners are actually starting to get, fairly significant too. And then, of course, I've got my tilapia, and then we've got that Chinese algae eater, and there's some crayfish in here. You can see the head of a crayfish sticking out of his little cave right there. Little fish just swam right over top of him. Sounds like Squeaker's coming in to say hello. And then we got my Pleco back there. Another big fish in this tank. A lot of bioload going on. So definitely need to do a water change on this tank. Maybe that'll be tomorrow's video. That is Squeaker coming in to say hello. Meow. You gonna say hello now? Meow. Meow. Okay. Meow. We know you're here. My black ghost knifefish tank This just feels so weird going backwards. I'm doing a clockwise instead of counterclockwise like I normally do. Anyway, my Black Ghost Knifefish tank. Not a lot going on in this tank either. I really need to get in this tank and do a water change. I've actually got a dead snail. Well, it's not even a dead snail anymore. It's a snail shell just floating near the surface. It's got a little bit of air trapped in one of the corners of it, and it floated. But you can see the Java fern there. Look at all the little babies I got growing off the Java fern. So I need to get in there and groom all those off, and I've got that other weird stuff growing in there, and I got, you know, a little bit of scum is starting to develop on the surface. So this tank needs a little bit of tender loving care, and I'm still working on one light fixture. I never have gotten around to sticking another light fixture. I've got them in the other room. I just have to do it. It'll take me all of 5 minutes, but I need to just go in the other room, get one of the fixtures, put some tubes in it, and put it back on the tank, and then we will have 2 fixtures putting this much light on the tank. So as brightly lit as that is, double that, and that's what this tank is supposed to look like, or what it normally looks like. Getting lucky, seeing a little look at my other high fin spotted Pleco here. It's a really good looking fish. I'm really enjoying this one. And this snail, I'm not sure where I got it, and of course we can't see its shell at the moment, but it's like a marbled snail shell or something. It's not my blue, black, or white mystery snails. So I'm not sure where it came from. I've never acquired mystery snails that were not either blue mystery snails, black mystery snails, or white. And yet this one has like a brownish amber color. It's almost like a tortoise shell looking kind of shell. It's got stripes in it. It's a really pretty shell. So I'll get some video of that next time we can see it in a position where we can actually see its shell intact instead of the underside of its foot like that. Just did a big water change on this one the other day, and look how much Pleco poop I've got on the bottom. Looks like a rope. Those Plecos are pooping machines. My tripod is still out in the middle of the floor. I just walked into it. My Moonlight Gourami, wherever she is, she's probably, there she is. She kind of has to just lie on the surface of branches and stuff now. She can't really hold herself up without effort. She's definitely got a bad swim bladder at this point. But she's okay, you know, she just kind of hangs out on the branches and stuff, and she still feeds, and she can still get to the surface easily enough. So she doesn't seem as though she's suffering. She's not struggling to stay afloat. She's not swimming around with her tail bobbing out of the water like some of the other fish I've had. You know, some of the other gouramis I've had, the snakeskins in particular, both of them, you know, went tail up like balloons. So she's not doing that, and, you know, doesn't seem like she's suffering, doesn't seem to be bothered by anything, so I'm going to leave her to it. Doesn't seem to be an issue. And then there's my little chocolate gourami, and then my whiptail catfish. Those are the newest additions to this tank. And while I say they're the newest, that doesn't mean they're new, but they're new by the standards of this tank. And they're both doing pretty well. My whiptail, unfortunately, his tail keeps getting nipped off, and I do have a couple of female guppies in this tank, and guppies are definitely fin nippers, so it could be them. Could be the angelfish, could be the gouramis, could even be the cories. I have no idea, but somebody is nipping the fins off of my whiptail, and I don't have those really, really long, beautiful filaments like I should. But otherwise, he's good and healthy. I see him out eating on the algae wafers when I put him in the tank, and he keeps the glass clean, and he's on the wood all the time. So I'm not concerned about the health of my whiptail, other than his tail, of course, being chewed off. Just had a moment of panic. I thought I was still doing my water change. I looked over to make sure I wasn't about to overfill my tank. So this is my 29 miscellaneous. Nothing at all going on in this tank. So just, you know, as usual, in need of a water change and some basic maintenance. No biggie. And then, of course, my brackish tank here is definitely in need of a water change and some maintenance. Nothing wrong with the tank. It's just got that I don't know whether this is the cyanobacteria growing in the tank again, or if this is just the brown diatom algae. I suspect it's the brown diatom algae, because you can see it growing all over everything. And in fact, it's probably a little bit of both. You can see some of the red right there on the plants. So that's very clearly red cyanobacteria. There's no question that that's not, you know, the brown diatom algae. So when we look at this stuff, it's probably a little bit of both. That little bit of reddish color you can see in there is indicative of it having some of that red cyanobacteria, but the overall brown coloration is also indicative of it just being diatom algae, and no big deal, nothing to worry about. So that's about it. We're back to where we started, even though this wasn't really supposed to be an around the world. It kind of was. This is my 20-gallon angelfish tank down here, and below it is my quarantine tank. It's got nothing in it but a couple of coolie loaches that I never see, and one permanent resident guppy that stays in there just so that the tank always has a living resident and stays duly cycled. So that's it, everybody. That was tonight's video, and then, as I said, look forward tomorrow to that great big marathon 40-minute water change video on this tank. So thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, and then don't forget, of course, this one is my 125-gallon tank.